They say that your 20s will be the best years of your life, often portrayed as a time of freedom, excitement, and endless possibilities. But it can also be a time of confusion, uncertainty, and anxiety. I'm in my 20s right now and I have never felt so lost before. Honestly, there have been so many moments where I thought to myself, what am I actually doing with my life? This is a stage of life where everything seems to change at the same time. I remember when I was 20, one moment I was just finishing school, and the next I am suddenly expected to step out into the real world, start a career, become an adult, and somehow have a plan for the rest of my life. And the pressure is very real. I remember that period of holidays where classes have officially ended and we are just all waiting for our graduation ceremony. Everyone around me was already job hunting, sending out applications, going for job interviews, trying to secure something before officially finishing school. It almost felt like a race, and I did what everyone was doing. I grabbed the first opportunity that I could get and somehow landed a job that started a day after my graduation ceremony. Looking back, that still feels crazy to me. I was only 20 years old. In many ways, I still feel like a kid. What am I supposed to realistically know about careers or life decisions? When you are young, you think that every decision carries enormous weight. It feels like the choices that you make now would shape what the rest of your life would look like. Choosing a career path, deciding where to live, figuring out what opportunities to pursue, it feels like you are supposed to make all of the right moves right away, like there's no room for mistakes, but the truth is, you don't. You don't have to get it right the first time. I definitely didn't. The first company I worked at ended up to be a complete nightmare. I didn't get along with my bosses. I hated my job and every day just felt so exhausting. But I still stayed there for years. Part of it was this idea that I have already spent 5 years studying that major and I had to stick with it. I had already invested too much time to turn back. Even if deep down, I knew that I wasn't happy. And part of it was fear. I did not know what I could do if I left. And I think a lot of people experience the same dilemma during your 20s where you feel stuck in life. Of course, there are lucky people who found something they are passionate early on and they move towards it with complete certainty. But for many others like myself, things felt much less clear. I mean, there are so many directions where life could take you. There's so many possibilities that instead of feeling excited, it actually feels overwhelming. It's like standing at a crossroads with hundreds different paths in front of you and having no idea which one you are supposed to take. You start wondering which choice is the right one, and sometimes the fear of making the wrong decision is so strong that you don't move at all. You stay right where you are, not because it feels right, but because it feels safer than the unknown. And then there's social media. Another thing that makes this phase of life even harder than it already is, and it's almost impossible to avoid it. You open Instagram and suddenly it looks like everyone your age is living an incredible life. People are traveling the world, building businesses, landing amazing jobs, earning money, buying apartments, getting married. From the outside, it seems like they already have it all figured out. And without even realizing it, you start measuring your life against theirs. You start wondering if you are behind, if maybe you made the wrong choices, if everyone else is moving forward and somehow you are still standing still. And the strange thing is that logically, we all know that social media portrays a small, curated part of someone's life, but emotionally it can still get to you because you're already unsure about your decisions, and seeing how other people appear so confident about theirs can make you question yourself even more. I've definitely felt that. There are so many moments where I looked at someone's life online and wondered, how do they already know what they're doing? How does everyone seem so certain and confident? Meanwhile, I was still trying so hard to figure out my place in this world. And sometimes that comparison becomes so overwhelming that it ends up holding you back. You hesitate, you overthink, you start doubting every single idea you have before even trying it. Because in your head, someone else is already doing it better than you. But the truth is, most people are just as uncertain as you are. They are just not posting that part online. I think one of the hardest part about your 20s is the sense of isolation that many of us feel. This is the age where many people would come and go in your life. Friends move away, relationships end. And the people who you thought would always be there slowly drifts into the background. It can feel confusing and sometimes painfully lonely, as people who once felt like family can suddenly feel like strangers. It's not because anyone did something wrong, it's just life moving forward. Everyone has their own story to write, everyone has their own struggles, just like you. Here's something I have learned. People who leave aren't leaving a void, they are making space for new friendships, new connections, and new experiences that you wouldn't have otherwise. And you will always carry fragments of them with you. The way I think of my best friend whenever Blackpink drops a new song, or how I curl my lashes thanks to her little beauty hack. While it doesn't make losing someone any easier in the moment, but over time you realize that every connection teaches you something about yourself, about how to give and receive love, and about what you want about the relationships that you keep. So yes, people would come and go, but that's perfectly okay. It's all part of growing up. It can be really hard to figure out what you ultimately want in life. Sometimes it is much easier to figure out what you don't want in life. For me, after spending years stuck in a job that I didn't like, I know one thing for sure. I don't want to slave myself to the hustle culture or rat race for the rest of my life. As a first step, I no longer want to work in a job that makes me feel miserable. And I know for sure that I no longer want to stay in the healthcare industry. The thing is, we all chose our life path when we are so young. We were only 20, but at that time, it felt like we had no choice but to figure it all out immediately. And in our 20s, stepping into adulthood meant that we are having a lot more responsibilities. There wasn't space or even time really to understand ourselves as an individual, who we are, and what is our purpose in this world. But here's what I've learned. It's okay to not have all the answers. Your 20s are meant to be a time of self-discovery and growth. It is not meant to be a perfectly planned path. They are messy, they are uncertain, but sometimes the wrong turns end up teaching you more than the right ones. For me, giving myself a gap year off work gave me the clarity I needed. It gave me the space to step back and really think about what I want. You have to give yourself time to explore, to try new things, and to see what resonates with you. Take classes, pick up new hobbies, meet different people, travel, anything that lets you learn more about yourself and the world around you. And with each new experience, you start to get a clearer sense of what feels right. The best part is, this is also the time when you can take on the most risks. You can go all in on something knowing that if it doesn't work out, you still have time to pivot. You are young, you are learning, and there's so much room to explore without being tied down. The truth is, no one has it all figured out in life. Not in your 20s, not in your 30s, maybe not even later in life. We are all just moving forward, trying to navigate life as best as we can, making decisions with the information that we have at that time. There's simply no wrong decisions in life. There's only lessons to be learned. Everyone moves at their own pace, along their own paths. Comparing yourself to someone else's journey only makes it harder to see your own. Maybe feeling lost isn't such a bad thing. Life in your 20s can feel like a roller coaster. Some days feel thrilling, full of excitement and possibilities. And other days feels heavy, like you are small in such a huge world that once seemed full of adventures. Maybe that's the point. Learning to ride the highs and lows, to adapt when things shift, to rebuild when something falls apart, and to be okay with uncertainty. Maybe that's what this decade is really about, embracing the ride, letting go of the pressure of having it all figured out, and maybe the best thing that we can do is to take life one day at a time. Forgive yourself for not knowing what only time could teach you. Do not judge your decisions back then with the mindset that you have today. Don't punish your old self for not having knowledge that only experience can give you. So this is where I leave you. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!